a mouth organ. Oh, carry me home, carry me back home, and bury my body. Well, I lost at cards one night, got into a fight, and somebody drew their guns. I was hit near the heart, suffered an organ, lost a lot of blood. In a matter of minutes, I was dead, and everybody stood over me. So buried my body in the family plot, with some flowers there, and visit me every once in a while. Okay, enough of that. I have become interested in a genre of music. I guess it has been grouped in with country music, country and western, but a genre of music basically known as cowboy music, folk music. Performed by some country artists like Marty Robbins and Tex Ritter. And we're going to talk about those two. But there are more, and the whole topic is wide open. You can research it. I'm not particularly studied on it, but because of a newer artist who's kind of bringing this genre into the focus again, I've gained an interest in, Western cowboy music, let's just call it. There's one album I forgot to get, so I'm going to run in the next room and get it, okay? So I have nothing to keep you entertained for the next 35 seconds, so just hold on, okay? Because I really got to show off this album as well, because it ties into what I want to say. Okay, good. I got it, so it didn't take me too long, and thank you for your patience. Just when you start a video and you think you have everything, well, darling, there's something missing. Okay, so anyway, Americana music. I guess I can group this into something called Americana, which is roots music that's great, but it won't get played on the radio. When I saw this album cover, I thought this was so badass. And it takes you to the period of the days when you had when cowboy music was popular. You had album covers like this, So Colter Wall, he's a young artist from Canada, and it even has a insert booklet. Very cool. Western Canada. and it has up on the map where he's from. And I'm not going to pronounce it. Saskatchewan. I don't have my glasses on. Okay, so I saw this album cover. It kind of reminds me of the album covers I just showed, because Western music, Western country music was very popular at one time, and he had album covers like this from such artists. And Johnny Cash was Johnny Cash did a lot of things in country music, but he had this area covered as well. Don't take your gun to town, son. Leave your guns at home. Bum, 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 bum. Well, poor young, about a youth who was restless, who was raised on a farm doing chores and all that, but he wanted to venture out in the world and go to town, to the saloon, and wear his guns. And he got into an argument or a scuffle that he wasn't too experienced in handling, and he got shot. And so the mom says to the son before he goes on this horrible adventure, "Son, don't take your guns to town, son. Leave your guns at home." And his response, "Well, Ma, I'm not going to hurt anyone." But Ma, I'm thinking, you don't know how to handle yourself, the experience and situation where people are going to rattle your cage. So very sad tale. So you have those type of narratives, those tales in this type of music, being the lone cattle rancher, the tales of the outlaws and how they got that way, and their adventures and their eventual end, demise, being cornered by the law, becoming legend. How many notches you have in your gun are just riding out one night trying to avoid a posse. That. But anyway, Colter Wall, his what I notice about his music, his narratives, they're not so much romanticize the outlaws or the cowboy way of life as in the Marty Robbins songs. His is more just the mundane, day-to-day life of a rancher, of cowboys, with maybe a little drama thrown in here and there for good measure. This album, from what I understand, this came out in 2018 fall, and it has a artwork design like the old type of albums, like in the Western themes. The little marks right here, the arrangements, the font. And of course, the great picture of Coulter somewhere out in the plains, the sky, the clouds, the clay type of terrain. And on the back, pretty much in keeping in the style of most albums from that era. You have the track listings, liner notes, great picture there that confirms the theme, the feel of the album, and some credits here, and LP, And over here, Young Mary Records here, and the Thursday Tiger, whatever. This record can be played on stereo phonographics, which is interesting right there. Because as albums were switching from mono to stereo, you saw a lot of notices on albums stating the compatibility. You know, if you have a mono stereo or a stereo stereo, you know, it is compatible. And this is entitled, as I said, right here, a little marking, folk western. So even the album cover, which attracted me to this album, is of the old style, the tradition western albums of the 50s and 60s. Okay, and you know, Coulter just, you know, looks kind of, you know, the badass cowboy, I guess, you know. Jean jacket on, you know, the western hat, the beard. It's great. So, as I said, western, Coulter, his narratives are, again, not about the romanticizing the West, or, you know, rural western cowboy life, even that tradition that's going on today. Yeah, believe it or not, there are still cattle ranchers. But you know, not about outlaws, but more of the mundane, the bucket that's hanging on a metal post, and the wind's kind of blowing it, and it's making a squeaky sound. This sound of a coyote way in the distance. So the themes are more open, more not cluttered, you know, sparse. And you know, there's some fun stuff too. There are some songs. He wanted to make this album about where he grew up, and I think he did that. And this is his second, I think, full-length album, and the first one is very much praised too. So I'm going to get both, but I really like this one. The arrangements are very not cluttered. Acoustic guitars, vocals, drums, spoons, bass, pedal steel, harmonica, second acoustic guitar, and vocals by two other artists, Corb Lund, C-O-R-B, and then last name is L-U-N-D, who's also a similar type of artist as well. I guess they're friends. So love this album, and it just drew me to look at some other artists in this genre, and one of the most famous is Marty Robbins, and he had a series of gunfighting albums, or you know, western theme, gunfighting themes. The first one and the most famous one is Gunfighting Ballads and Trail Songs, Marty Robbins. And of course the famous song here, you know, everybody heard it, El Paso. Okay? Man walks among us, tall, handsome stranger, dusty wind, the master's called, the fastest gun around, Johnny Thavito, Doggone Cowboy, Red Hills of Utah, Oh, I'm reading the title from this one, which is 1964, part of the series, The Return of the Gunfighter. So this is the last one I have. And like I said, I was talking about the Coulter Wall album with the traditional type of cover. So Wall, the backside. Okay, you see the similarities. Okay, so part of the series of the Gunfighter series for Marty Robbins is the classic, the most famous. This one right here, and this album sold great. El Paso was a hit, and Big Iron's also on this one too, another hit. But the entire album is great. It's so it's really every song tells a story. You know, every picture tells a story. Well, in this case, every song tells a story about outlaws, desperados, cowboys, you know, that type of life into stories. And Big Iron, Cold Water, Billy the Kid, 160 Acres, they're hanging me today, a hanging. You know, blood-soaked ballads. El Paso, of course, the famous one. In the Valley, the Master Call. Running Gun, Down in the Little Green Valley, and Utah Carol. Great. And the middle one, I got these shuffled around right now. Where's the middle one? Oh, here. I can't find the middle one. Anyway, the series, 1959 release, 1964, and there's a middle one, and I'll come across it in a minute. I'll show you that. And Marty Robbins himself had a great voice. And I talk about the voice, where, you know, of course, he did other songs too. And I have this album right here, a double album. Nice pictures, texts of his life. And he just had, he was a crooner. Tomorrow I'll Be Gone, you know, 1951. I'll Go On Alone, 1952. That's all right, 1954. A White Sports Coat, which is another of his hits I absolutely love. 1957. That was a big hit for him as well. Before El Paso. El Paso came 2 years later. Ribbon of Darkness, which is a Marty Robbins song. So if you ever come across this album, this would be a really great album of Marty Robbins to get a lifetime, you know, let's just call it a retrospective album, 1951, 1982. And I have this album here of recordings Marty made when it's on the Bear Family production team. And they're known for taking really obscure stuff and remastering it and cleaning it up. And this album is great because it's really early Marty Robbins, and his voice is just so, it's like a country, it's so clean and clear. It's like a stream in a country valley somewhere, you know. That's how great his voice was. Okay, another entertainer, artist in the field of cowboying, Western ballads, Western songs, Western themes, is Tex Ritter, who's the father of John Ritter. Okay, I love this cover. This cover is so badass. You know, the winner of the gunfight has the loser down on the ground. The pose, the way the shot. You know, it's perfect. The illustration, the color themed with, boy, all this yellow right here up on the black sky, blood on the saddles, Tex Ritter, and of course you have the town right there. So very, very, very cool piece of Western artwork. And the backside very similar to the Coulter Wall album. You see what I mean? So this is very cool. Tex Ritter had a very different singing approach, voice. He did not have the great, beautiful voice of a Marty Robbins. He had more just the ordinary cowboy voice. It's almost like you can just pull any rancher out of a group and have them sing. And that's how he sounded. I mean, he could carry a song and all that, but it was just a kind of a plain, ordinary man, voice. Where Colter Wall, I forgot to mention his voice. He has a very accented, very flat, straight tone. Well, we settle on Nebraska, and that you just have to go on like Spotify and hear him. Check this album out and check his previous album out. May not be your thing, which is cool. That's fine. You might appreciate it, but say it's not my thing, or you might just fall in love with it. Who knows? I'm very happy to have this album, along with all these others. To conclude, and I'm still trying to find that other Marty Robbins album. Maybe it's just not in here. Oh, it's such a good picture. I think it's in the slot in there. This album came out this summer. Last summer. This summer's not here yet. Bruce Springsteen, Western Stars. Oh, look at that illustration. Look at the artwork. I guess you call that horse a style and just a stale. I can't pronounce my horses. Just galloping out there, and the dirt, the range, and then the beautiful sky. Western Stars on the backside, from the being a seaside greaser to exploring to being a cowboy, exploring those themes. And what makes this credible for me is Springsteen is one of these artists. I mean, the Jersey shoreline, he grew up there, and he's able to articulate what that life was like, the people, the struggles and all that. Oh, the sun's coming in and getting some good light here. This really brightens up the album. He's able to take those observations where he grew up, go somewhere else, and study and catch the vibe of what it's like there. He's like a painter in that sense. So this album, it's has those you get the feeling that you're being taken into the West. Narratives again of the atmosphere, the vibe, driving your car in the desert, working at some job. You go home at night. You may live 25 miles from the job, or all rural area. There you go. A lot of these songs, Springsteen will start out light with acoustic guitars, vocals, gradually brings bass in and some guitar flourishings, I would like to do a separate review on this album because the video's getting a little long, but there's also orchestration that comes in, the grandness. It starts off slow and humble, but it builds up to a triumph of the spirit, I should say. Western Stars. Back in the 90s, there was a hit, I think from Paula Cole, called "Where Have All the Cowboys Gone?", which was a great song. I think this album answers that question. All the cowboys are scattered under the western stars. Your sense of community and purpose of life. Sometimes, they hit brick walls. Your whole life can be devastated through stuff out of your control. But you are where you are, and there's this spirit that goes on. Some of the songs kind of reflect, late 1960s, early 70s music of, Everybody's Talking, Harry Nelson, and some of the Glenn Campbell songs, Wichita Lineman, and using some of those same production techniques as well to really drive it home. This album, it comes off very, very well, and it's not a rock and roll E Street Band Springsteen album. If that's what you want, you come to the wrong place. But if you want to really see another side of Springsteen's music, his artistical vision, this is an album to come to. It requires just a full, detailed listen to get your attention, for it to really come into full view. But a lot of the best music is that way. So Springsteen's kind of, I wouldn't say reviving, but making us aware of the Western music, the Cowboys, and along with the other artists I've mentioned too. So something traditional and old I presented, and a rebirth of it to Colter Wall and Springsteen's latest effort. This was fun. I like to make one more video of me torturing your eardrums with my guitar. Please leave a comment. This video ran a little long, but it was a very interesting topic. I had some things to say about it. If you enjoyed my channel, my videos, check the other ones out, and please subscribe and leave a comment. I don't want 10 million subscribers. I just want a small community, but some people who are active and sending me responses, and we can communicate a little bit. Thank you very much. Be safe out there. Hopefully we'll get through this very shortly. Well, it's not going to be very shortly, but we'll see hope coming. Okay, we'll see it happen gradually, in such a way that we won't be in the same way again. Okay, so prayers, everything. Take care. Bye.